What's going on, everybody? My name is Jay Statik, and you're tuned into the Statik Sessions. Today, we're going to be going through a song by Gippy Grewal called Sharaab, produced by Deep Jandu, and written by Happy Raikoti. So let's jump right into it. So if you haven't heard the song yet, please do go check it out. Right now, I'll show you a little clip of it. So as you can tell, it's a very dole heavy song. It's got that, straight 808 kick, small little bass line, super chord heavy, and vocally by Gippy and Gill. So we're going to jump in. Let's see what Deep did, what he added into this, how I mixed it down, and let's move forward. So we'll start off with the bass line. So Deep had this little bass line that went like this. Easy, little simple mid-range bass line. I tried to add some bottom to it. So I threw on I just found out this is called the Voice of God. I did not know that. I'm pretty sure it's called Voice of God. So that little plugin, dope. And then I threw on a little bit of a limiter compressor on it, and just wanted to bring out those details in the bass line, and it, fanned it up a little bit. So that's throughout the entire song. You'll hear that being played in the background, but it's not the most prominent piece. The most prominent piece is the kick in the 808, which is driving the whole song. Check out what Deep did to the kick, or what he added in terms of kicks. So we got this. I'll show you without the effects. Simple little 808 kick. Simple little tight kick. And what I did was rolled off everything from about 56 hertz and below, just to keep it as tight as possible, and then added on the UAD DBX 160. And this adds a nice little attack to it. So it was really simple for the kick, and I'll show you the two individual ones so you can hear what they sound like. The one underneath has a little bit more of like the hollowness. It doesn't have the punch. It's got more of the bottom end, and it's got that little crunchy little top end to it. A little bit of a knock, but nothing that's thump in the middle. And then the one underneath is straight, tight kick, thump. Both of them together sound like this. So now when you hear the bass and the kick together, they sound like this, and they go really well together. Really easy. So now jumping into the claps. These are, like, I would say, a really important part, especially when Deep does his production. He likes adding or creating like these grooves, so that when you're listening to the song, it just doesn't sound like a simple hi-hat pattern or a simple this and that type pattern. He does a lot with claps. Even when he first started, all I remember is him showing me like groove patterns, and they were always with these claps. So this is what he's got going on here. And it sounds really simple, but he's got a bunch of different claps that are layered on top of each other. So and that strong little, snare to end it off. And I didn't actually do anything to these because I believe I had these processed from before. Yeah, they're all processed from before. So I had just pure leveling done to these, and then we'll move on. And next here we have the 808. So for this 808, really simple mustard 808, no effects added to it. Just because we have so much done to the kick already, the 808 really just fits in and it sounds dope. So did that, put a little bit of a fade out on it, so it didn't take up the entire bar. It's only taking up a little bit of the hit, maybe like 3 or half of the bar right there. So as you can tell, simple, fills in that pattern. Might have changed the key, yeah. So whatever key I used, just because I know this is an already processed 808, I just dropped it down one key to fit the key of the song. And then comes the turn for the hi-hat. So over here, I got some straight from Splice. Nice little shuffled hi-hat. Sounds dope. Got that. 2 different hi-hat patterns. Probably just loops that I've had for a while. Underneath. Dope. Simple hi-hat pattern. Easy enough. This is actually from another one of Deep's songs. These ones here are my DJM. Thank you very much for these. Actually, I think they're mine. I gave it to him and then I took them back and used them back in a song. I'm pretty sure. But either way, thank you, DJM. Over here, we got a little bit of a bass drop just to add some variation to the song. Simple enough. So now let's listen to what this whole drum line bass pattern sounds like. Now, when you're listening to that on its own, it sounds very hi-hat heavy, but once you throw hi-hats on top of dol and dolkis and all that kind of stuff, it really adds that high end to the dol without adding in that artificial high end. It sounds really cool. So let's jump into some dol dolki action, show you what's here. Really, really cheesy ass dud, but sounds dope. Then we got the, you know, the greatest dolki of all time. And after that, we got this. Easy enough. After that, we got some, so let me just show you what the dolki and the dud sound like together. Now, one of those is a third pitched up. I believe it's a third pitched up. And now we got this. Pre-existing loop, just had everything mixed in together. Sounds heavy. Nice little heavy dol. Some high end. Very flat sounding one. I rolled off some of the really, really ugly low end and raised some of the, I'm gonna call it low mid-ish to bass end, and then threw on some JJP, switched to kick out. And what I do with JJP a lot, I'm pretty sure I haven't gone into it because we haven't really done very dol heavy type songs. But what I like to do with this is turn up the attack because it just gives the dol a very upfront in your face vibe. And then I play with the punch and attitude as well. I'm not sure if I did on this one, but I just, while I'm mixing, I go through it. That way it brings some of the bottom end out. And what I really want with dol songs is it slaps in your face. Unless I'm just having it lightly in the background, that's a different story. But in this song, it's a very in-your-face, heavy dance floor type of song. So we got to make it sound like that. So I'll show you what they sound like without this to having it with it. So it brings out a lot of the elements that are in the actual mix of 4 different dols. And with having 4 different dols, especially these are not keyed. A lot of people honestly don't even key their dolkis anymore. Well, dolki you kind of have to, but dols not so much. I mean, general public can't even tell the difference. So if you can, please do it. But if you don't, whatever it is, what it is, you'll be thrown in the group of everyone else who doesn't do it. But when you hear them all mixed in together, if I got rid of, let's just say, just the EQ, you'll hear a messiness on the low end. Now, when I turned it on, you'll hear it tightened up on the low end, and because I raised a little bit of like 90 to 100 90 to 100 hertz, I really give that dugga sound like a hitting sound, which I was looking for in this. So that's it with that. So now if I show you what these sound like together, oh, I did some processing on the dolkis as well, so I'll show you that real quickly. Rolled off again the same kind of area with the 90 hertz to 100 hertz. Boosted it a bit, and then I know the Slidarang dolki has like this high end, like got rid of that and raised like the mid range of it, so you'll hear what it sounds like without it and with it. And that's simply with just dolki. It just sounds bomb. And then JJP, same thing, kick out. And I just played with the attack. So it's had a lot less of an attack than the dol had, but it had the same punch and attitude. And that just brings it up to the front. Makes it sound nice. So two of them together. It gives it more of a dancing feel. Sounds warmer, not just a very, very dol heavy song, even though it is. Now after that, Deep threw in a dol roll. Just had one, nothing crazy on there itself. I did the same thing. I just rolled off some of the low end to make it sound tight and heavy on the low end. Don't know why I had this EQ8 back up. And then kick out. I copied the same effect and I threw it on here, trying to make it sound the same, and turned up the level so that it's a little bit louder than the constant jal or whatever it is that's going on throughout this song. This gives it a nice break, so you'll hear what it sounds like. So that's with all the effects. Without it, sounds like this. One more time. So you can hear all the detail now, and it sounds a lot better. That was a great little addition. So together, everything. I'll show you one final time. Sounds nice and tight. So now going into the effects side of things. So now over here we got some risers. After that, threw in a little crash. Simple enough. Threw some reverb on that. Then we got a nice hard hitting little impact. Adds a nice little crunch to the beginning of the song, beginning of the chorus. So it adds more energy to it. Some white noise fills in any gaps that it might have in there. And then super panned 8-bar riser, but I only used it for about 4 or 2 bars. Yeah, 2 bars. I'm going to skip over and I'm going to go right to the chord patterns, just so we'll go into the tumbi afterwards, just so you guys can hear what the chord patterns are like. So for this song, Deep came by and we started doing some of this stuff, adding in like sounds that we were looking for, because we were looking for a very desi type of sound for this. So going into it, you'll see this clavinet, really easy, sounds like this. Easy enough, desi sounding instrument. Then I threw another clavinet on there, and I think I just pitched it up 12, I believe. So both of them together, really simple. So they're on the off beats, and then on the down beats I had this Nexus 3 piano heavyweight Rhodes. And then throughout the entire song, we had this little pluck sound. Adds the groove back into the song. So it was a pluck bit styles. I'm not sure which pack it's part of, but sounds offbeat sometimes, but it sounds really cool when it's in the mix of things. So 3 of those together sounds like this. And then in the chorus, to add to the downbeat chords, to add to those, we had these. Just pitched up 1 octave. And then same thing, I believe, with these. Add a bass line that was added in. It was like a very high-pitched bass line, just to add something to the chorus. So when the chorus drops, some sound comes in. Even though it's the same sound as the pluck, it sounds a little bit different. So that's it for the actual music part in this. In terms of the music that we played, the MIDI music. This is what that sounds like. Now, we'll jump back into all these tumbi pieces and stuff like that we had. So starting off at the beginning. So whenever we get music played, we always get it done from India. We always get live recordings done. So these are all the live recordings, and then we pick and choose throughout these recordings what we actually want to use. In this case, Deep did that already. At his studio, he went there and just picked all his pieces, put them out, had the ones that he wants running throughout the song, and then he had the ones that he wants for pieces and the ones that he wants for during the vocal, like during the verses. So while those are playing, he's got fillers in the background. While the chorus is going on, he's got another piece playing. And then during the actual piecework parts, he's got his parts that he wants. If you look at it, I'll show you what we have before I show you what the actual pieces were. I just rolled off any low end that was below 100 hertz, just because when anyone's playing the tumbi, you'll hear this pluck sound, which is right at the bottom, like it's like 40-50 hertz. It's just this random ass bass pluck. Got rid of that completely. And now added in some C4 compression, and then on this I threw in some JJP vocals just to bring life back into it, because when I was controlling the high end, it was kind of disappearing. So I'll show you what it sounds like without it, and then let's show you what it sounds like with it. That's what it sounds without it, and that's what it sounds with it. Just having these effects on it also makes it sound a lot wider for some reason. It sounds really cool. In terms of real-time effects, I had some RC48 and some delay on there, some ping pong delay, and that's it. Sounds nice and tight. So I'll show you the next part. I had some tumba going on in the background, and then over here we had two of them overlaying on top of each other. So it's a straight tumba tonica with a tumbi on top. Sounds really cool. After that, had some same thing, tumbi, but these were more so the pieces. Sounds really cool. I did the same effects on those. Now going to the sarangi. Sounds dope. I think I do this sometimes. So what I did here was I liked the effects on the tumbi. I took them all and I moved them over onto, like duplicated them onto the sarangi track, and it sounded good right away. So I didn't want to mess it up or do anything bad. And I liked the way it just came out in the front, and I kept it there. It sounds really cool. I just played with the delay and the reverb more just to see what the difference was, and got a nice little fit, which sounds cool together. So play this together and you'll see what it sounds like. Yeah, they just fit together. Sometimes when that happens, it's just the best thing ever. I'll be honest, I probably did the same thing with the Vajja too. Oh, I didn't add any RC48 on the Vajja. I just did some delay, but let's see what this sounds like. Because the Vajja is already really, really bright, I can see that I definitely let it hit harder in that mid-range part, high mids, and definitely reduce some of the magic just so it didn't sound as ear-piercing, because in the mix, it probably sounds good, but on its own, it probably sounds a little bit too sharp, but it's fine. As long as in the mix, everything sounds dope, that's what we're going for. Sounds good in the mix, but on its own, there's some notes that hit a little bit harder, which sound a little aggressive, but they sound good in the mix. So that's number one. Now let's jump into the vocals. This song is heavy when it comes to layers. It's like about 70 layers. So I grouped together Gerliz's vocals, and I'll show you what we did when we went through it. I'll show you what the vocals sounded like raw, and I'll show you what they sounded like with effects. Deep, when he sends me the vocals, he always puts his auto-tune settings the way he likes it, because most likely he's already sent this out to the artist, and the artist wants to hear the vocals in the same way. If they don't want to, then I'll usually throw on some auto-tune. I believe I did for Gippy's, possibly. No, I didn't. So he did all the auto-tune for all of this, which is great. For me, it's less work, and I get to focus on actually making the song or making the vocals sound better. So show you guys what the vocal sounds like. Deep already did all the auto-tune settings on that. So now let's go one by one. Show you guys what I did in terms of effects. First things first, added in a API 2500 from UAD. Control all those little flicks of high-end parts because she's very aggressive when it comes to her vocal. After that, threw in an EQ8, rolled off everything 138 hertz and below. That doesn't look like 138 hertz. That means there's no resolution between that, but whatever, it is what it is. Fab filter Q2, I usually just throw in, but I didn't end up doing anything with it. And then threw on a LA2A from UAD as well. Probably controlled the vocal a little bit more. Show you what that sounds like. Just one-ish dB of compression over there. Did my little bit of old style suppressor work with Oxford Sonic suppressors. Nicely controls those little sharp parts that she has in that vocal. And now because they're a little bit dead, throw on some JJP. Show you what that sounds like. Then after that, some UAD. And I only use this UAD literally for this mid-dip section. And because it probably has some sonics on it which sound good. But to me, this dip is so natural and good sounding that I just use it for everything. So what I did was here is took this 5K range and just added some dip to it. And I'll show you this with and without. It gets rid of this weird sharpness that's in that vocal. So I used it right away. Now used after that the Renaissance Axe. This brings the vocal back up to the front. Sounds nice. Some C4 to control that high end again. And then after that, some Marvox, and that brings it right back to the front of the speakers. At least it sounds like it. And on this vocal, I didn't do anything except just add a delay, ping pong delay. And now we'll jump into Gippy's vocals, and honestly, his vocals are awesome, but his ad-libs were hilarious in this song. I think that was my favorite part with the song. But first, let's jump into his vocals, show you what they sound like raw, and then show you what I did to mix them down. I don't want to play too much of it just because I want to show you the whole mixing process too. So, they sound raw. They have a lot of mid-range to it, which I think Gippy's vocals have in general. So controlling that mid-range is important, and then bringing out the highs. And I know he wanted it to sound, we went through a couple of variations on this because he wanted his vocals to sound very bottom-heavy, like sound deep and dark and rough. So we did that in this song, but it took a couple of times. I think it took about 5 tries to get there. So going through it, let's jump in and see what I did. So first and foremost, API 2500.
Sharaab tera pyare hunda ya nahi kar jahan palaunda ya ho peg tahan launa ya pee ke sharaab tera pyare hunda ya ho kar jahan palaunda ya.
Flatten that vocal 100% as much as I could.
Pee ke sharaab tera pyare hunda ya nahi kar jahan palaunda ya ho peg tahan launa ya pee ke sharaab tera pyare.
Got rid of some of that low end in there, even though we wanted it, but I'll show you why in a second.
Pee ke sharaab tera pyare hunda ya nahi kar jahan palaunda ya ho peg tahan launa ya.
Now the vocal sounds a little bit more balanced. I got some of that 7200 hertz, dip at around 3K for any of that sharpness, and I'm adding back in some of the Fab filter low end, 180 hertz or so. Now let's see the LA2A. Now on this, about 3 dB, 2 to 3 dB worth of compression, and then raised up the level a little bit just to bring it back into your face. And I'll show you the Sonic's Oxford suppressor.
ਪੀ ਕੇ ਸ਼ਰਾਬ ਤੇਰਾ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਨੀ ਕਰ ਜਾ ਪਲਾਉਂਦਾ ਆ ਹੋ ਪੈਗ ਤਾਂ ਲਾਉਣਾ ਆ ਪੀ ਕੇ ਸ਼ਰਾਬ ਤੇਰਾ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਹੋ ਕਰ ਜਾ ਪਲਾਉਂਦਾ
Simple enough. Add in some life back into that vocal after the suppressors take it out.
ਪੀ ਕੇ ਸ਼ਰਾਬ ਤੇਰਾ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਨੀ ਕਰ ਜਾ ਪਲਾਉਂਦਾ ਆ ਹੋ ਪੈਗ ਤਾਂ ਲਾਉਣਾ ਆ
As you can tell, it gets a little bit sharp. So this is where that mid dip comes in handy with the manly vox box.
ਪੀ ਕੇ ਸ਼ਰਾਬ ਤੇਰਾ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਨੀ ਕਰ ਜਾ ਪਲਾਉਂਦਾ ਆ ਹੋ ਪੈਗ ਤਾਂ ਲਾਉਣਾ ਆ ਪੀ
After that, add in some Renaissance axe.
ਪੀ ਕੇ ਸ਼ਰਾਬ ਤੇਰਾ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਨੀ ਕਰ ਜਾ ਪਲਾਉਂਦਾ ਆ ਹੋ ਪੈਗ ਤਾਂ ਲਾਉਣਾ ਆ ਪੀ
And then some C4 to control that high end.
ਪੀ ਕੇ ਸ਼ਰਾਬ ਤੇਰਾ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਨੀ ਕਰ ਜਾ ਪਲਾਉਂਦਾ ਆ ਹੋ ਪੈਗ ਤਾਂ ਲਾਉਣਾ ਆ ਪੀ
You'll see where I'm getting to. R vox to bring it back out.
ਪੀ ਕੇ ਸ਼ਰਾਬ ਤੇਰਾ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਨੀ ਕਰ ਜਾ ਪਲਾਉਂਦਾ ਆ ਹੋ ਪੈਗ ਤਾਂ ਲਾਉਣਾ ਆ ਪੀ
Some fat filter MB.
ਪੀ ਕੇ ਸ਼ਰਾਬ ਤੇਰਾ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਨੀ ਕਰ ਜਾ ਪਲਾਉਂਦਾ ਆ ਹੋ ਪੈਗ ਤਾਂ ਲਾਉਣਾ ਆ ਪੀ ਕੇ ਸ਼ਰਾਬ ਤੇਰਾ ਪਿਆਰੇ
So now it's got a lot of that deepness in his throat that he wants and less of the high end. I think what he was going for. Then some de-essing just to overall get rid of anything that was sharp in the vocal.
ਪੀ ਕੇ ਸ਼ਰਾਬ ਤੇਰਾ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਨੀ ਕਰ ਜਾ
And now my favorite plugin right now currently is Tape by Softtube. That's it. Great plugin. Sounds dope. And honestly, it had this preset. Forgot which one I used. And I don't want to mess it up. So I'll just tell you what it did. I'm pretty sure I used a Vox fattener. And sounded so nice on it. So I'll show you with and without it.
ਪੀ ਕੇ ਸ਼ਰਾਬ ਤੇਰਾ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਨੀ ਕਰ ਜਾ ਪਲਾਉਂਦਾ ਆ ਹੋ ਪੈਗ ਤਾਂ ਲਾਉਣਾ ਆ ਪੀ ਕੇ ਸ਼ਰਾਬ ਤੇਰਾ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਹੋ ਕਰ ਜਾ ਪਲਾਉਂਦਾ ਆ ਹੋ ਪੈਗ ਤਾਂ ਲਾਉਣਾ ਆ
Sounds dope. Sounds really nice. Adds like a little warmness. Sounds dope. Sounds nice. After that, add in some delay.
ਪੀ ਕੇ ਸ਼ਰਾਬ ਤੇਰਾ
And then some reverb.
ਪੀ ਕੇ ਸ਼ਰਾਬ ਤੇਰਾ ਪਿਆਰ
And that's it. That is the entire song. So I'll show you what this whole thing in the chorus sounds like. Let's go from Gurlez's part to Gippy's. That is it. Now, in terms of the ad-libs, this is the best ad-lib I think I have heard in a song 100% of the time.
Shut up.
I think that's my favorite ad-lib.
Shut up.
Gippy's a king for that one. Now, in terms of mastering, really simple. This was my old master that I had on there. I'm going to delete that one. But start with this. Some, XL V2 just to add some width to it. Some stereo width to it. Then we go over to the Q2. Get rid of anything that's 20 hertz and below and 20,000 hertz and above. 100 hertz. Actually, that's more than 100 hertz. That's 233 hertz and below. Everything below that is mono. Then we got some top shelf stuff that we added in. So I think it's about 8K. I added in about whatever that is in terms of dB. I'm going to say about 3-4 dB over there. Adding some top end. And then we got the classic clipper from T-Rex to bring that level up and add emulated soft clipping. And then over here we got some Pro L2. And it's really simple. I just brought out the attack so that the kick is the main focus. It pumps through regardless. Brought the release to about 226 milliseconds and increased that threshold as much as I could without it distorting heavily, because it is distorted. So you can hear in the actual mix, the kick stands out a lot. I had to do that in order to make the whole song so that the kick is felt, heard, and everything. Kind of like that Jatinder Shah type style of it being up in the front and the kick's just pounding the entire time. That type of mastering. So I had to make the kick a little bit louder. So when it came to mastering and I was doing the soft clipping, the whole thing was brought up into the front. So I'll show you with and without. Song was run through my Lynx Aurora to my Burl stuff. But again, I wish I could show you guys that until I find a way to do so. We're going to have to settle with going through my nice UAD Apollo. That's pretty much what we're going to be doing. And that is it in terms of mixing and mastering Gippy Grewal's song Sharaab by Deep Jandu and Happy Raikoti. So that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed that whole breakdown. If you guys have any questions, concerns, anything like that you wanted to go through, please let me know. I'm always down to go through it. I haven't been through some of the comments, but I always try my best to go through all the comments and answer any of the questions you guys have. I remember I've been reading a couple of comments already, stuff like how come you don't change up some of your VST vocal chain presets to just presets in general, I guess, throughout the whole song or throughout my songs. And my thing is, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. So stuff has been working for me. Things have been going really well in terms of mixing, mastering for me. I'm not going to go beyond that because that's the stuff that people are looking for when they come to me for mixing and mastering. So I try to keep my sound sounding the same. And my goal right now and throughout my whole years is, even in this song, the song's mixed a little while ago. I'm trying to limit the amount of plugins by keeping the sound the same. And that has been the hardest part, even when it comes to kick arrangements and VST vocal chains and all that. So in terms of like vocal chain presets and all that kind of stuff, I never have presets. In my mind, I know what I want to do, and I just get to that point. So hopefully that explains a lot of the comments and questions people may have had. And I hope you guys enjoy these and all the rest that are going to be coming out. I'm recording a whole bunch for you guys, so I hope you guys enjoy them. Until next time, keep on subscribing, keep on commenting, keep on sharing. Please like and follow everything you possibly can because we have so much more coming out in this following year as well.